we are back for another episode of what I suppose is still a relatively new podcast called Unmasking Leaders. And we've been so far joined by an array of professionals who have kindly shared their insights. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by Frank Fol. Hi, Frank.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Hello, indeed. How are you?
I think I'm very well. We
Good.
have a lot of activities going on, so always busy.
Busy time of year, I'm supposing, as well, isn't it? It's
This is for us the most busy moment, yes, because
yeah.
everything happens on November, if you want, December. And so, yeah, we are working very hard with the team.
Oh, good. And is January relatively quiet, so you can kind of have a bit of a lull period, we call it?
I hope so, yes. We will have some activities, but it's not that stressful.
Not as crazy, yeah. Well, I guess a good starting question is what inspired you to be a chef in the very beginning?
Oh, first of all, my parents were really people who loves to eat well, and visiting restaurants with them when I was very young in France. We every year we go also visiting wineries in France and buying wine. So one or other way, I was put in this world, and when I was, I think, 12, something like that, I was asking for myself, I like to be a cook or whatever. The first idea was to become to have a bakery or a pâtissier or something like that. But my parents said to me, Frank, that's working at night. That's maybe not so ideal for the family and so on. And then I was always trying things with vegetables or things that I find in nature to do, how do you say it, to try things and to see what's happened when you make sugar. How do you do it? How you can make something with this product and so on. And my parents said, yeah, maybe you have to go for cook because this is, you are really interested in this. So I went to Brussels, and in Brussels, there was a very known hotel school. And I stayed for 4 years over there at my diploma over there. And in the last year, I had the possibility to go and go to a restaurant to work in the weekend. And this was the number one best restaurant of Belgium, Villa Lorraine. And so for me, it was really a fantastic learning period. I love to be there. I had a very good chef also. And after 3 months, when I was going there every weekend, my chef said to me, because we had a book that always had to be signed by the chef. And he said, he closed the book and he said, you give this back to the school and you don't have to bring it back again to me. And you, after your school, you can come work here. So it was never been done in the school. So it was, I was
Amazing.
surprised, and the school was surprised about this reaction of the chef. And afterwards, I started working in Villa Lorraine for 7 years as a sous chef. After some years, and so this was my school in practice. Yes.
Wow, amazing. So you've obviously always had quite the creative brain, I assume, from obviously trying new things and testing what works. It's like a creative outlet, I suppose, isn't it, when you're in the kitchen?
Yeah, that's the thing I love the most. Doing every day 80 covers, people to prepare it always the same. It's hard work, but it's the creativity that makes me love this job. Changing always with the products of the season, trying new things, new combinations, new techniques, and learning, always learning.
Well, your dedication to making vegetables in particular central to your approach?
Yes, it was because in my region where my parents lived, we had a lot of vegetables, regional vegetables like Belgian endives, also fruit, the white peaches, strawberries, the best strawberries of the world. We have cauliflower, and so on. A lot of products was really very strong in our region. And when I was finishing my school, I had to make a final document, you know that. And I make it about Belgian endives. And I think this was a little bit the sparkle, what makes that I was very interesting in what we have in Belgium on vegetables. And when I started my restaurant in '89, from day one, I put on my menu Frank Fol and his kitchen with vegetables. And it was a little bit revolution. And for me, it was seeing the way to cook from another side. When you create a recipe, you start from out the vegetables. And then you can see if some of the plates can have meat or fish or not. So it was a totally different way to think, and we called it think vegetable, think fruit philosophy. And at that moment, the people didn't understood. They thought that we were a vegetarian restaurant. And oh, it was clearly something else.
Yes.
And where my restaurant was. So they saw that we were doing other things and a new way to cook. And so I was directly in the picture as a future chef, if you want. And in a lot of articles, journalists were talking about this restaurant in Leuven who is thinking differently. So I step by step, I had my television show, I make books, and now we have already more than 20 books about vegetables. And we have still, my first television show was in 94, 1995, but we are still having television programs for the moment.
Wow, amazing. It must have been quite groundbreaking to kind of have that different way of approaching having your own restaurant. I can imagine that people are looking at you as if you're a bit crazy in a nice way.
Yes, it was sometimes very bizarre because some of my recipes I created were really revolutionary at that moment. We make ice cream from chicorée, and we baked some endives with and we put a sauce of apple, green apple, and you understood it or you didn't understood it. And you had a lot of people who were really against it, but today, still after I have already sold my restaurant 20 years ago, people are still talking about this plate to me. So you see that a chef may be creative and have to do things that are new. Sometimes it's very good, sometimes it's less, but you have to try.
And do you have a favorite vegetable? I have to ask you now because
I
I'm
think Belgian endives is
I thought it might have been
from
from what you said. Yeah, I thought so,
my
but I thought I
favorite
should check.
all time. But it's important that it's also how do you say, produced in the ground, not water culture.
Oh, okay.
It's a different product. It's more a salad than if you have it in the ground. The problem was in 2005, I sold my restaurant and I focus on consultancy and promotion of fruit and vegetables. And I was feeling that the transition to more plant was going too slow. We had to do something to make it going faster. So in 2008, I created the best vegetable restaurant contest in the Benelux. And so in some years, we created 50 ambassadors of this philosophy. And then we said, okay, we know the 50 chefs, but the people don't know it. So we started to create a guide. And that was the next step. And so we could say to the people, these are the restaurants who are, if you are interested in more pure, more plant, then these are the chefs you have to go. So in 2017, we go out of Benelux with the name We're Smart and We're Smart Green Guide. And now the guide is in more than 50 countries, more than 1,300 restaurants worldwide. So it's going very fast now.
I think that goes to show how thinking differently goes a long way. And I think that is kind of where everything's going at the minute. You've got to think outside the box and not just think, the way you've always done it is not always correct, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I still have in my office a piece of art where it's written on think out of the box. Because that's, I think, the most important thing that you still have to do and continue have to do. It's never finished.
Yeah. And you were a star chef at the Belgian Culinary Theatre. What did this involve and what was the initiative?
I'm a master cook in Belgium. You have a lot of chefs in every country who are in the club, if you want, recognized by your colleagues. And I had the possibility to be 9 years also the president of the Belgian master cooks. But I also started up in the 90s the young restaurateurs of Europe. And this was at that moment the young generation, who was working hard to become important. And the nice thing is that Jean Restaurateur is still existing today as an international organization and are doing it very well. So that makes me happy, yes.
And do you think we work hard enough to develop young talent in general, or?
Yes, I am not afraid about that. I think that there are so much communications now on Instagram, on whatever social media, television, who trigger young people to do or to go in the world of cooking and restaurants. So it's always following, and in this the important thing for young people is that they take the time to learn and that they go in working in different restaurants and so become who create their own philosophy and their own way that they want to cook later on, maybe. Yeah.
How do you see the food scene changing worldwide?
What we see is that more and more chefs are starting up a pure plant menu in the restaurant, so that there is a choice. They maybe have the classic menu with a lot of vegetables already, but they start up in the Netherlands. you can see today there is no fine dining restaurant who will open without a pure plant menu. So there is something happening. It becomes normal that a chef has this menu. And that's also the reason why we say to chefs, because a lot of restaurants that don't have a lot of people working in it. So they have to organize it, and having two menus is very hard. So we say, if you think vegetable and think fruit, and you create from out the vegetables, it's easy to have a 100% pure plant menu.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of the dishes, you can put meat or fish if the people wants to. So, but you have only one mise en place to do. And it's easier to work. So that's something that we try to promote to the chefs. And of course, young chefs will be the first to do it. And that's what we see today. But also the classic chefs, I will not say all chefs, but the classic chefs who learned to cook on a way of Escoffier, if you want. They are understanding today that they do have to have a vegetable menu. And it's another way that they look on it. It's more on a classic way, but they will have also a menu in proposed. So that's also a good thing. So you see step by step that all chefs are thinking about it. Some of them say to me, Frank, I have learned to prepare meat, and I will always serving meat. No problem. That's your choice. We are not extremists. We want that everybody eats some more vegetables. And if we do that all together, then we really do something for the planet.
It's very interesting what you say, because I do think a lot of people think about the meat and what goes then with that. And I can imagine it's trying to change your ways out of habit. Instead of thinking we're going to have a fillet steak, you're thinking, okay,
Yeah.
what are you going to have? And having it's a very different way of thinking.
Yeah, it's a little bit, you think totally differently. Yeah? You start by the vegetables, and it makes life easier for me. And the fantastic thing is you have 66 techniques to prepare vegetables. If you go and look the possibilities of creativity that you have between all those products and all those techniques, it's a new world that opens. And once you have understood this as a chef, you will never go back again.
It's almost like they haven't quite tapped into it to understand all the different ways that you can cook vegetables, whereas there's only so many meat products I suppose you can play with. I've not thought about it like that.
Yeah. The creativity of a plate is in the vegetables, not in the meat or the fish, because that you prepare, you bake or you cook or you put it in the oven or whatever. And it had to be with the right cuisson, like we say. But the difference and the creativity is the other things. And so that's the reason why I started in Leuven in my restaurant Sire Pynnock in '89 with this philosophy. Not because it was healthy, not because it was good for the planet. It was because it was very creative, and I made a cuisine that was different. That was really my motivation. And afterwards, we saw that, okay, it's also very healthy to eat a lot of vegetables. And then, okay, the planet is also a winner in this thing. So this was new for me. I never thought about it at that moment in the beginning.
This is probably where you see the industry lags in innovation, is not looking at it from the vegetable perspective. And you're obviously just ahead of your time back in 1989 when you set up your restaurant, which now ended up being everyone's thinking about the planet. How can we save the planet? Thinking about using vegetables more. So
Yeah.
you really were very ahead of the time, I think.
Yeah, yeah. That moment it was, and I think also that with We Are Smart, it's important. It's not something new. We started up like this. It's really, there's a foundation. There is. It's about a philosophy. It's about something real, uh, and I think that makes We Are Smart also so strong.
I was just about to ask, actually, what was it that inspired you to start up We're Smart World? Would you say it was that kind of avenue for creativity you found within it that kind of sparked the idea?
For me, it was, it's going too slow. We have to create 1,000 Frank Fol.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have so much chefs who are saying the same thing and in their restaurants making it tasty and show to the people how to prepare vegetables and make that it's like, if you want, even like meat, because we use techniques today to prepare vegetables who are also used for meat. And we don't, with vegetables, we don't have to, how to say that, make it like meat, but
Alternative,
you
yeah.
understand what it's
Yes.
about vegetables, but
Mm-hmm.
with if you bake it and you go put some sauce on it and so on, you can create that people are not uncomfortable. They see that something that they already know, but it's still vegetable. So that is, I think, the best way to make the difference and to bring people in this way to eat, because when it's not good, they will not do it.
With that in mind, how would you say consumers are changing? Are they more on board with this sort of like vegetable-centered idea now, would you say?
Yeah, if we go in the information that we receive, in Belgium, you have 3% of people who are vegan. You have 10% who are vegetarian. But the people that we want to touch is the people who want to eat some days in the week only vegetables and are flexitarian. So
Mm-hmm.
they can, if they want, eat once a week meat, but we want to show that you don't have to have always meat. You can also enjoy pure plant food. And that's I think the biggest group we can motivate. And we see today that 35% of the people are looking for that style of life. So, and that's growing, and that's growing, and that's growing. So it's by taste that we can make this happen. And of course that what we see in the world with all the problems and with a lot of people who are sick and whatever. So that it's needed that we have to eat more healthier. But people will only do it when it's tasteful.
Interesting, because it's kind of helping to show that vegetables, aren't just for vegetarians, aren't just for vegans, that they're for everyone, everyone can enjoy vegetables in
Yeah,
different ways.
yeah, that's what I believe, that everybody has to eat more vegetables, and that can only be done by taste. And I think it's happening now, step by step. There was a moment that people say, journalists say that, okay, it's the new hype. We had the molecular kitchen, we had the Scandinavian kitchen, we had, and so on. And all those periods were very interesting to learn. But this is not linked to one culture. This is everywhere in the world. That we see that chefs are moving to more plant. And in a classic menu, you can have, when you have 7 plates, seven dishes, you can have easily 5 dishes only planned. And today, nobody will say something about it. It's normal.
Yeah, I was I'm intrigued to ask you, because I know you were a private chef for the Belgium Olympic team. Was it both
Yes, yes,
2008 and 2012? Did this period of cooking for athletes have an influence on you? Because I'm sure some of them are quite protein focused. Is that fair to say? Did it have any influence on you now?
Yeah, I have a nice story about that. I was in China in the Belgium with the Belgian team, and we had in the first 3 days we had the football team coming on, and I was good organized, and I know that they had to have meat, but 100 grams a day, and we bought everything and we organized everything, and after day 1, all the meat was finished. Yes, and the trainer asked me, Frank, you have to organize more meat because they are used to eat it. Yes, and I had also vegetable sauces for them, for all the athletes and players. And in the first day, they were, I want my mayonnaise, I want my ketchup,
Yep.
because they are used to eat all these negative things. And so after 2 days, they loved the vegetable sauces. It was no problem anymore. You see, it's all about habits and it's all about taste. No, I was there for 5 weeks. I went 2 weeks before to prepare everything, and I was there for 5 weeks with the team in China, Yantai, about 1 hour from Beijing, and it was a very great experience for me because I was very close to the athletes, and I learned a lot about the thing that they know their body like nobody else. They know when I eat this, this will be the reaction. And when they have to eat it and when they don't have to eat it. And this was very interesting. And one of my ideas afterwards was, it's a pity that all this knowledge, after some years when I stopped with the sport, is going away. Why we don't ask to these athletes to go on in the schools, and everybody will look to them and wow, they are very important. But when they can explain their experience about their body and eating and sports, it would give fantastic learnings for the kids, and it's a pity it's not happening.
It's very true, actually, because what you put into your body is what gives you energy for your sports. So it's a very simple kind of education process to share with others that, it's as simple as fuel your body in the right way and you will perform.
And it affects how you feel as well so much as well,
Yeah, and that's important, as a sporter. If you don't feel good, it will not happen.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So I suppose, as maybe a finishing question, what advice would you give for young aspiring chefs today?
Today I had a guy here with me who came talk with me because he's in the beginning of his career and he wants to have some information, and I think the best is you have to be open-minded, to see what's in for you, what's your interest. But in the beginning, you have to first do a lot of learning and working in different restaurants with different chefs, with different concepts. It's a very good learning. And then afterwards, after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, maybe, you can say now, I will focus on this way, and I go doing what I think I will like the most. And because every day when you wake up, you have to be happy to go to work. So that's very important. Doing something that you don't like, it's not the best way to live life. So
that's very good advice, I think. I think that's advice for anybody in any career, isn't it, really? You do what you enjoy and you will do well at it. It's that simple, really, isn't it? Find what you're passionate about. And I think I was also going to say, when Katie asked you that question, I thought you'd say, you have to tap into your creativity, because we've all got it. It's sometimes that you don't know how to unleash it, or you haven't quite harnessed it yet in some way. So it's
sometimes creativity only can start when you have a little bit of back office. Like for me, I went to classic restaurants, so I learned the classic kitchen very well. But in my mind, I was in Thailand doing a festival when I was 22 or something like that with my chef. And I saw all this way, the other way that they cook with vegetables. So for me, it was a trigger. Why we are a country of vegetables, we have fantastic products, but we always put them on the second place. We never focus on them. And I came back from Thailand, and for me, it was clear in my mind, this will be my life. I will working and putting vegetables in the main role.
I have to ask you, sorry, I know you've technically asked the last question, Katie, but Frank, what do you, on your average week, do you majoritively eat vegetables most days, or do you still enjoy meat, or do you not have a set kind of ratio?
There is no line, but we eat a lot of vegetables, and but red meat, it's maybe once a month, sometimes twice a month. It's I think once a week chicken, preparation of chicken, and then a lot of vegetables. And I am going really with the seasons. So I think that's also the best. The products have the most taste. They are also price quality the best. And you can, and I think also there's a reason why there are seasons for your body. You have to take out of these products the things that your body needs. So always eating the same every week, it's not good.
It's interesting. I've spent some time in Finland, and I was in more of a middle Finland, and the amount of time in the winter that you couldn't get certain produce, and it completely changed my mind and thinking I shouldn't have that in Finland at this time of year, because they can't grow, they can't get it. Whereas in the UK, you can pretty much get everything
every moment.
Yeah.
No.
And it's not eating with the seasons, which I think would be quite you'd probably look forward to different meals throughout the year, different vegetables. So it changes it nicely in a cycle rather than just everything all the time. It probably makes it more exciting. So I think maybe I might you've left me thinking I should start thinking about my my dinner tonight a bit differently.
So we can go back to the Belgium endives. The one who are in the ground, you only have for a small period. In this period, now at this moment, you have endive from October, and in January it will stop. So
you have to make the most of it.
This is still really a product, and like asparagus, the same. In Belgium, the white asparagus, you have this for 3 months, and that's it. And that's interesting, because when you see that, you understand what seasons means.
Yeah.
And we have to learn it back to the people that they have to follow the seasons. Yes,
I think that's true. I would happily admit that I wouldn't be the best at knowing the right seasons for everything, purely because we can get everything. So I think there's a lot of education there that can be.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, I think I think we've asked you quite a lot of questions there, Frank. Thank you. I was really,
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
yeah, I really
My
enjoyed that.
pleasure. Thank you so
Lovely
much.
to learn a lot about, well, it's always interesting to hear different the way people see things and think about things as well. And it's almost like spinning things on its head. That's probably how I would describe it. And as you said, think outside the box. I think more and more people are beginning to try and do things differently. And I think it's important to be innovative and, challenge the status quo. So
Sure.
thank you very much. We really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Katie, easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.